to. Okay, for the Flood Resiliency Committee, August 20th. Can we go down, the row here and identify yourselves? Who are you, sir?
Mike Smith. No, Mike Smith. No, Mike Smith. Yeah.
Fred Gallagher.
Tish Gallagher.
Tim Moore.
Gail Sites.
Alice Reel. Suzanne, Sandra Taylor and Mike Marinelli are not here. I did hear from, Fred, you heard from Mike Marinelli that he will not be here, and Sandra Taylor just called me and said that she is going to have to step down from the committee. Her, term was up at the end of this year in any case, but she's, now attending school where they have classes, night classes at Tuesdays, so it's really impossible for her to do it, and she said that, she really was appreciative of the opportunity to be part of this committee till now. Anyway, so has everybody had a chance to review the minutes? Does anybody have any changes that they wanted to make?
No.
All right, does anybody want to,
Yeah, I'll make a motion that the minutes be accepted as submitted.
I second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, okay. While we're on the minutes though, if I could just, I know we said, let's see. Mitch, did you get a chance to talk to Delaware City about the flood management?
You know, it's funny, thank God for minutes. I had totally forgotten about that.
Yeah, I had
read
too.
them yesterday.
Right.
And, yeah, I called today and the only person there was the accountant.
Okay.
So, I have the name of the city manager and she is supposed to call me back.
That's the city manager, not the city floodplain manager, right?
Right, just the city manager, but sometimes they wear more hats. Bill
Yes, they
Barthel
sure
was
do,
the
'cause,
floodplain manager for us.
Antonina is supposed to be both, but, when Bill Barthel, was city manager, he had Jeff do that, so I don't know if Antonina is doing the same thing. I did mention to her that I thought that we had, discussed maybe sharing a floodplain manager, and she thought that was a good idea, but she had a few things in her mind. This was during the budget and everything, so my guess is that if we wanted to pursue that, we probably have to talk to her again.
And
Anyway.
the next budget go round.
Okay,
And also, I mean, we talked about the need for a city engineer.
yes.
Um,
I spoke to Antonina about that too. I mentioned that. And she said, oh, absolutely, absolutely. But then, the budget process is such
Right.
that, things just get taken off, and the budget process involves, 4 or 5 people talking together without, you might be there, but you don't have it in front of you, so you don't even know if it was proposed, and it's a very difficult process. But I did not hear that we were gonna get a city engineer. On the other hand, I was just thinking on my way here, it is desperate that we have a city engineer, especially now, that we find out exactly what the situation is and where we can go, what is the next process of, for instance, well, let's go to the NRCS thing. I hope that you all saw the letter that I got from Ann Baldwin. This is frustrating too, because, July 11th, she said, I hope that you will, I hope you won't lose hope and that you'll, keep, hoping that we're gonna be a part of this project. And then last Thursday, she said, everything is still on hold until the next fiscal year, which begins October 1st. Then we wait to see if Congress can pass a budget and all that mess. It will be on a wait list, but the order of priorities will be construction design and then planning, because the fund allocations want to see more on the ground. They want a shovel-ready project, obviously, which we don't have. So I was thinking that if we had a city engineer, we could discuss the difference between planning and what has already been done. Because I spoke to Linda Ratchford and I told her where we were doing, and she says, oh, we've already done the planning. And I said, you have? And she said, yeah, we put out a report, we've already done it. And I asked her today what she was referring to, and I believe she was referring to this,
Hmm,
which is not, I don't believe, a plan.
no, it's alternatives, but it's not a plan.
It's also done a lot of it by, just working on the computer.
Right.
So I'd like to sit the engineer to tell us how much more would be involved beyond this. Because this does say what should be done, like there should be a certain kind of, border between the Gambacorta and, between the, Broad Dyke and the, uh, Buttonwood Dyke, and then a different in front of people's homes, and then a floodgate and Delaware Street, and then, a
Yeah,
different
but
kind
I
of.
think the
for-
planning they're talking about is a little more
I think it's gonna
intense
be,
planning.
this planning is like.
More
we-
engineering planning.
We walked the site, that doesn't seem to me to be the kind of planning that
Well, it's
can
like 10,000
get you
feet.
to
We need get a
something.
little closer.
Hmm?
I said it's like 10,000 feet. We need to get a little closer to
Exactly.
the.
Exactly, and I'd like to know from the point of view of a city engineer, how much are we talking about to do planning? Because remember, Anne was saying that, she was asking for $2 million for the planning. Is that typical, or is that government, where they sort of guesstimate, or because you really need to know that. Now, I know Suzanne put some money aside, for this possibility. But I don't know how much we would need. For instance, if it's $2 million, where do we get that? Where do we get it from Denver? Do they do planning things? I assume they do, because, anyway. But this also had some, cost estimates. And to do what they were what he suggested in the PIFR, this is the other thing, there's also the PIFR has basically the same plan in here that was in this document,
What's the date on the document under your,
2019.
so it's 5 years old?
Yeah, I remember we asked Dave Athy if he could give some updates on the costs, and he said it was essentially the same. This was in 2022, I believe. So we don't know what it would be now.
Nothing's the same.
True, after the pandemic, but we're talking, $9 million for one portion of the project, and that's for the dikes. And then $5 million for in between. So and that doesn't include the engineering and the planning. So we're talking heavy duty money here. And I don't know, maybe we get that in stages, like we go, we ask Denrick for the planning money now, and then we go to, we do engineering from there, and then we go back to NRCS and say, we've got a shovel-ready project for you here. We've done the planning, we've done the engineering. If, as she says, these, projects will be, priorities will be construction, design, and then planning, which sounds like the opposite of what you should be, but anyway.
No, so, I mean, I've dealt with a lot of projects,
Mhm.
and a lot of times, if there is a pot of money, if you're shovel ready, you can get it. So what happened here, and I don't know why their budget was cut, or their amount of money for this agency was cut, but it was whittled down to this. So what she's saying is it's whittled down to this, and so they can only do so many projects. So we're gonna wait list all these and those that we can show shovel ready, we can show progress. Okay, we did this one, this one, this one.
And if there's money left over, then
Then
it goes to
that
the
will-
next.
yeah.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is that we should maybe be looking right now for funding for planning, so that we can at least start that, so, I don't know, I'm not gonna rely on this anymore.
Okay. First of all, I think we should meet with Anne, because I have a lot of questions, not based on her short email that I don't have answers for. I think we should meet in person. I'd be happy to go to Dover to her office. But first of all, from what we heard from Bonnie Wu, who is in Senator Carper's office, what did she say? The formal request for fiscal year 25 has passed. So that's the federal fiscal year is October 1st through September 30th. And so they're talking about that fiscal
So
year
they're
for
talking
what?
about the year next year,
Well,
fiscal year 25.
starting October 1st
Is 25.
is
Yeah.
fiscal
And
year
why was-
25 in
Isn't
the.
the request put in, we've been.
So,
talking about this for attorney,
so
yeah.
that's number one. We don't know if there is a request put in for us. I mean, and we're in this crazy time right now because it's election time. And so there's a lot of stuff in flux and you don't know exactly who we should go to. But I really think we need to sit down with Anne to understand more than her email. So one of my questions is the request in for our project for fiscal year 25? And if, you know, what is the request? Is it for planning, you know, the 1 to 2 million, or is it for the whole project? And if we were able to get funding for planning from another source, could we then go back to NRCS and say, okay, here's the planning, but you didn't do it. So, you know, could we just get money for design build? And I don't know that answer, you know, if their
Well,
people don't do it, is it gonna be
And
their
by the
plan?
time we get the planning done, who knows what NRCS's priorities are gonna be? I mean, you're not.
Right.
talking it's
Well,
gonna be
so
over
We
3
can go as
months.
far as going there. I do not think we need to talk to Ann Baldwin. I think that Ann doesn't have the decision-making authority. We need to go to her boss, who is the person she's always talking to, and then telling us what she said. I think we need to contact her boss. Now, we tell Ann that we're going to do that, but, you know, Ann is saying, well, I did this, I did that, but sorry, because somebody else is making the
After you've been
decision.
hanging for,
Yeah, so I think we should, there is an engineer, state engineer over her. And I think it's a new person now. And she did say that she put in $2 million for planning. She put in a request, she told me at some point. So I don't know what happened to that. She said, well, I have to talk to my new boss. And then suddenly, and plus we don't hear from her unless I contact her.
Right.
So I think, yes, I totally agree with you. We've got to contact.
Well,
we've
so
gotta go.
we need to understand more. So at the same time, I think we need to go back to, so after June, after we got the correspondence that it was in jeopardy, our 2 Senate offices and the House Federal, House of Representatives, wrote a letter. We had a call with, Alice and I prepared a document just kind of outlining the problem. You put together a 1-pager of some of the history. I put together a 1-page of all the projects, all the work, like this.
Right, like this.
I mean, it dates back to 2011. When you start listing the projects, 2011, there was a study done, one in 2014, one in 2019, one in 21, et cetera, et cetera. So I put together that 1 page, included a couple pictures. And we sent this to Senator Carper's office, Senator Coon's office, and we had a contact in the governor's office, state of Delaware, who I was at some event and he said, can't remember his exact title, but he deals with federal funding for state projects. And I go, oh, can I talk to you? So I sent it to him and so we did have communications and I think we need to go back to them because they seem to understand, they understand the federal, Carper's office, Senator Carper's office got back to us and said he's retiring. So they don't have a lot of influence with this money, but they could ask for more if they did. I think Senator Coon's office could help us. Actually, our contact there thought we might be able to get some money from the Army Corps of Engineers. And then the last contact with the state, Greg Patterson, was he had called together a meeting with Ann and a representative from each of the offices and to come up with ideas, but they were waiting to hear if we got anything. So I think it can't hurt to research there as well.
I've been disappointed in the results of that, because it seems like there's a lot of talking going on, but nothing actually happened. And maybe it's too early, and maybe you have to build the basis for this and all that kind of stuff, but it just seems like we are talking among ourselves and with Anne. There's somebody up there who's making those decisions, and we're not in contact with them, and neither are the people from the offices. So I think.
But the people in the federal offices know about the funding, or they can find out about the funding.
But weren't you disappointed that, Bonnie just said?
Bonnie, because the senator's retiring and everybody starts fleeing. So who knows what Bonnie's going on to.
Mhm.
But I think, Senator Coon's office and, so I'm willing to at least contact, the governor's office and, Senator Coon's office and have a sit down and say, okay, this is where we are. We were approved, but we lost the funding. Can you help?
Okay.
And at the
Great.
same time, you can go to
I will
Ann's boss.
find out who's Anne's boss, and I'll talk to Anne, and I'll say, listen, we need to have a sit down, with our committee. Maybe Antonina could come with us.
Antonino would be great.
Yeah,
She
and
needs to be
so
involved.
that we could.
Would it be good to meet with Ann and the boss together, have them both there instead
That's
of
what I'm
just
thinking.
the
Yeah.
boss?
I think
Yes.
that's a good idea.
And that-
Exactly.
and that way-
Keep Anne
and that way
we don't-
everybody-
Anne's done a lot for us. I don't wanna leave her out of it. But I do believe that she maybe overstepped her authority by giving us more okay than we really ever had. That's what my concern is. And she also had a boss that really relied on her a lot because she was out of the office a lot. And now there's somebody else there, and that might have something to do with, whether or not Anne has that authority.
And I do think that Gail's right. I mean, we're in the middle of this election thing, and until we know which party, is gonna be in power.
It's absolutely true,
we-
because,
we-
yeah,
nothing's gonna get done.
yeah, that's right. We're not gonna have.
Maybe at the
same
state
level.
level, but.
Yeah. Well, we're not
federal,
gonna
I
have the
don't know.
same, we're not gonna have the same level of funding if, say, the Republicans win, because that's just the way, works. So, I totally agree with that. On the other hand, I worry that we're not, we can do this, but I worry that we need to start looking at other funding sources, right away. And one of the things, as I said before, we need to talk to our city engineer, Ersatz, the engineer, and find out exactly what is involved in planning, what would be the cost, bare bones, and is there some agency that is specifically or mostly or every now and then does planning funding, because like I said, I think if we could, the farther along we are, the more likely we are to get money because we're gonna be able to put shovels in the ground. So anyway, so I'm gonna talk to Antonina about that too, because I don't even know that woman's name. I know there's somebody who works in AECOM's I think Lancaster office that's supposed to be part of our city engineer, but it doesn't, we never have any contact with her, or I haven't anyway. Plus, meeting on a quarterly basis is very hard to get anything going, so I'm wondering if we should maybe go back to at least meeting on a bi-monthly basis, if not monthly basis, just to, get this going again, since we're now, I don't think we can sit on our butts and say, well, we'll wait till, we find out if we get any money from NRCS. I don't think that really works anymore. Does anybody have any objection to that? No?
No, I think we need to get to work and,
Yeah.
find some money.
I
Yes.
wonder if we shouldn't, and maybe, I don't know, this is just for discussion, should we focus more on the generalized flooding from rain or tidal flooding? What we've had was huge. We were looking at both of them and trying to fit it all into this one package, and Ann seemed to think that would work.
Let me build on that a
Yeah.
little bit more. What would be your thoughts if we broke it down into phases? So just say, the dikes, getting them up to a level.
Yeah, Tim, I
And,
thought
and,
about that,
and I,
but
s- and the reason why I say that is because we compete with schools that are being built. We compete with a lot of large, high dollar, millions, billions of, of things, that are being built. And so it's tough, when everybody's asking for a ton of large not. But if you break it down into smaller amount, are we more apt to start getting things accomplished
that makes sense.
since they're smaller amounts and it's all leading to one big overall goal or the overall objective, which is flooding? We're just breaking it down in the,
I
like
totally agree with
sections.
you in the theoretical sense, but if we raise the dikes, won't that make the people in between more vulnerable? I
Yes.
think we have to do everything at the same time with the dikes and with the.
Right,
with the
that might-
That costs a lot of money, as you
There might
said,
be.
yeah.
But you can separate the dikes from the rainwater. Because in Hoboken, they were doing that. And when we spoke with, he only handled the rainwater portion of the flooding.
Somebody
He
else
didn't
did.
handle-
This money that's talking about here is not talking about rainwater at all. This, this
Yeah.
15 million or something.
It's flooding from the river.
Yeah, this is totally
Okay.
flooding from the river. Yes, we can do that, and I think that's what Tish is saying.
Yes.
Let's start with internal.
Well, and
flooding.
that's the first big breakdown, but then like Tim said, within either of those or each of those, there's other breakdowns.
You
you
use those
know.
breakdowns to go after funding. I don't
Right.
think you mean do them separately. I mean, I'm not putting words in your mouth, but I think, seek out money for the dikes, seek out money for various pieces of it and not really implement. You need to have all of it. I don't think you can put in 3/4 of it because then you tell them where the water's gonna go.
Right, and one of the issues is it's hard to get money all at once. So like when they build schools, it's 3 years that they put in for the bond bill. I'm just using that as an example, but it's multiple years in order to get the money to build. And being a large project and a high dollar project, you become fall in the same.
Maybe you know this. When is
Simple.
the request cycle for bond money from the state? Is that right now, or are we past it, or?
I do believe it's before
Passed.
Well,
No.
so the state's
when is it?
fiscal year is
July.
July 1
July.
through
Yeah.
June 30th.
Uh,
The requests start going in the fall,
fall,
like
yeah.
right now. The governor puts together his or her budget and presents it in January, then the legislators meet in the spring, and it's finalized on June 30th. So we're already in the next,
But sometimes
But-
you can get lucky and.
but it's
'cause
not
we
too
got-
early to put in the request now.
Right, sometimes you can get lucky, so like with the boat ramp, we got lucky, I was after the July. And we were able to get $100,000
uh-huh.
for the boat ramp, and that
Uh-huh.
carried us. In order to do certain things, we were able to use that money to help with the cleaning and the different things and all, and then we were able to.
So I'm wondering, something like 100,000 or say 200,000, maybe 300. Would that be enough to do some planning at least, or planning for the internal stuff, or would it be enough to do the internal stuff? I don't have any idea what the,
I think,
Cost of it,
I
right.
think that would be a question for Kevin Donald.
you think?
He has, although he's with the conservation district, he's been around a long time.
Or a city engineer.
And he, he's dealt with a lot of projects and he might, I would think he would know a lot more about that kind of stuff. Have a better idea.
Okay.
And I can reach out to him if you want.
Sure.
Kinda,
Sure, if you can ask him like, what is the, give us a ballpark. of the cost of planning / engineering or whatever for projects like we're looking at, because, you know, for instance, if it's a state deal and their bond measures are usually less than $1 million, let's say, I don't know. Yeah, are they? I don't have any idea. No, they're not usually less than $1 million. Because I
there's
know-
a lot that are,
The city gets bond money, but it's never as much as $1 million.
no,
They get like
there's,
$500,000 for like 10 roads or something like that.
no, they're buildings.
Are they?
Yeah, millions.
Okay, all right. So, you know, if we knew how much to ask for, we could ask for it quickly. Because we have enough, I think, to say, we need the engineering, or we need the planning, the specific planning. As Fred said, you know, not from 5,000 feet above, but right there, the planning and, you know, to get us to the engineering.
Is there any advantage into getting the request in early, or do they all just go in and get looked at the same time?
I mean, I
we should
think-
talk to Nicole Poor.
Yeah, Nicole can help.
Yeah.
I mean, I think getting them in the fall,
Is better.
is, yeah, for the next fiscal year. I mean, when I talk to the person in the governor's office, I will find out more about that, but, you know, maybe the state can put us in their budget.
We never actually talked to Nicole because we were dealing with the federal government, but I think that she could be a real asset to us to, you know, guide us where we need to go and things like that too. So I know her a little bit. She knows my name.
If you want, I can I can reach out to Nicole.
Oh, that's
I know.
okay. You're-
I know.
Oh, you know her very, very well? Okay, then do that then. Okay, all right.
I think she's still, I don't think she chairs Bonneville now, but she's still on the committee.
She's one I want.
She's on the committee, but she doesn't, she used to chair.
She's the chair.
Oh, okay.
Of the bond committee.
Well, I'm sure she still has some influence.
She does, she's on the committee.
Yeah. Okay. So what's our next step? We're gonna, I'm gonna ask Antonina about meeting and I'll talk to Ann and maybe see if we can get, maybe you and I and Antonina, does that sound good?
Mhm.
And, I will, maybe something in September,
With Ann and her,
and her boss.
Boss,
We'll
okay.
find out if that's a
All right.
possibility. And then, Tim, you're gonna talk to Kevin Donnelly about
reach
the
out to
costs
Kevin.
for planning and things like that, and also Nicole Poor about the bond issue.
and I'm going to contact Senator Coons's office and the governor's office.
Yeah. What about the, what is it called now, the, Corps of Engineers? Do they have a lot of money, do you know? Have any
They have
idea?
money, but they also, you know, build bridges and things like that, so, I mean, they also have a lot of requests, but if, Andrew from Senator Coons' office said there might be money, like, they know, those federal offices know.
Yeah,
So
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll talk to him
for like
about
the
that.
Army Corps stuff, that, you know, that's, if money doesn't get spent, like their job is to spend money.
Yeah.
And if
use it or
that,
lose it.
and if, exactly, if money doesn't get spent, it becomes smaller. And apparently it's tough to get
Right.
it back. So, and I don't think that, not too many. I think there's been less people taking advantage of it. I don't know if it's the amount of work that goes into
I see.
the application
Do you
or
think we're gonna have a
however
chance
you
there?
submit it.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah, yeah, I mean, you have a chance at anything, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I think it's all about how you plead the case, how you justify
Right.
you know, the money.
Tish, do you have a recollection that in Hoboken, the Corps of Engineers was working on the federal stuff at the river's edge? And,
The Corps of Engineers was heavily involved in the river side of there. Yeah, he
Yeah.
didn't sound, the guy we talked to really wasn't involved in
no,
that.
the Corps was really taking care of that, right? He wasn't.
Yeah, I'm sure there was somebody from the city who was
Yeah.
working with them closely,
Sure.
but he didn't name names or anything, but yeah, he did say it was Corps of Engineers, and man, that was beautiful down there.
Sure was. Sure was, yeah.
Hoboken was not at all
So
what
what
I
I'm
thought
saying
it was gonna be.
The Corps has done something similar. I mean, I don't think our situation is that dissimilar from what Hoboken has been, you know, witness experiencing. Either from either the rain or the floodings.
No, but Hoboken got the community really involved. You know, they have an advisory committee for his group, of course, which is 10 or 12 people. And they also have money that they voted on. I mean, this,
It's a tax, basically.
like.
Right, they
like
also
the
have
tax,
75,000 people, you know,
Yeah.
or 5,000 for them, 7,000.
Yeah,
So that makes it really difficult, that part.
and they put money into a pot for use for flooding issues. But they've been doing it for a while, so they have some money in that pot.
Right, right.
I don't know, I mean, our city council doesn't seem to wanna, they'll do anything to avoid taxes,
They will, won't they?
yeah.
All right, so I think that, we should meet next month and,
I agree.
the third week in September and, go over, you know, what has happened since we were meeting here. So, anyway, Mike, you want to talk about your, Yeah.
I believe that city council has moved their meeting to the third week, Tuesday of September.
oh, I have to approve it? We have to propose it and, make a motion?
No, they have just, city council's meeting moved from the second week to the third week of September.
Is there a fourth week in September?
I don't know.
Oh, they moved because of the election on the
Yeah,
10th.
because of the election. The space was not available. So
There is a fourth week? Let's make it then, unless there's some.
24th, I
conflict.
don't have a calendar in front of me,
I do, it's the
but no, but
fourth
what,
Tuesday.
I know, but I don't have a calendar as far
So
as.
you don't know if
what
there's a conflict?
meeting.
If
Okay,
there's another city meeting?
I don't know,
It's not Board of Health, I know that.
no.
So it would be the, 24th.
Do they have a city calendar here?
Let me check the website.
Is there
Mm-mm.
is there somebody who meets on the fourth Tuesday?
I don't know. Not without my calendar.
All right, so let's say the fourth Tuesday, unless we have to change it, because of the conflict, okay?
Then you'll notify the city office. Alex,
Okay,
Alice.
huh?
You'll notify the city office.
Yes. Okay. Okay, Mike, you wanna
Sure,
go over your notes there?
Sure. Went to a meeting in Lewis on the 3rd of April this year it was a forum on flood insurance. Which I didn't really know that's what it was. Now, there's a lot of interesting facts that came up that I learned. I'll just go over some of them. This was first hosted by Danielle Swallow. I think she.
Yes, we know
She-
Danielle.
something-
Mhm.
Yeah, so she was a friendly face to see there. We just talked about, this is all from an insurance point of view. What is a flood? Anything that covers 2 units of property or 2 acres, greater than. So if one house floods, one property, that is not eligible for flood, that's not a flood, that's not flood insurance.
It's not insured.
Not insured.
Even if you have flood insurance.
Yes, even if you have flood insurance.
So if you got a little creek by your house and it floods your house, that doesn't matter, huh? Because it doesn't flood anybody else.
Yeah, so this is, from the National Flood Insurance Program.
Okay.
2 acres or 2 units. Yeah, 40% of flood loss comes from properties deemed to be low or moderate risk, which is that 1% during the 100-year range. 40% of the property.
40% of the property damage happens in 100-year floods, is that what you're
Yes.
saying?
Yeah. In 2019, the average flood insurance payout in Delaware was $18,000. And the average loss was $95,000.
Wow.
What? Wait, whoa.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
That's quite a difference.
Yeah. Yeah.
Discrepancy
Yeah, so this is all national flood insurance. We're talking about private insurance here in a second, because this is really the people that got up and talked for private insurance. People wanting to sell us private insurance.
Got it.
Okay. Hurricane Isabel 2003, the average flood insurance payout was $3,000 in Baltimore. Yeah, interesting, right?
Is that because a lot of the damage was in the house rather than
Yeah,
of the
you just
house?
don't get, they just said you just don't get, you're not gonna get what your loss is. Okay. So private insurance, so I reached out to the private insurance and I asked for a quote on my house after this meeting was over, right? And it is, so you can get like $300,000 or I got a quote for my house and then I got a quote for my basement, because it's my basement that's in the floodplain. Actually, because the first floor is above the floodplain level. So I asked for a $50,000 insurance, which would pay up to $50,000 a year thing. And it is significantly less than national flood insurance.
But it covers the same thing?
Covers the same thing. And so private insurance is growing according to these people.
Oh.
And of course, now if you have a loan, you gotta make sure your mortgage company would agree to have private insurance cover their loss.
Is that private?
Yes.
I mean, I think it
Yes.
is.
So I'm confused
Yeah.
because we have flood insurance
Right.
and it's through a private company, but it's
It's
backed by
national flood
FEMA.
insurance. It's backed by a
it's backed
FEMA.
by FEMA,
Yeah, that's the expensive.
right?
Yeah.
I mean, we pay
Yeah,
like between $4,000 and $5,000
Yeah.
and the max is 250,000.
yeah. So there is private insurance not backed by FEMA.
Oh, and that's what you're talking
That's
about?
what I'm talking about.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's so interesting.
Yeah.
That it's
Good.
cheaper.
FEMA maps do not take into account current climate change or sea level rise at this point. It's not been updated.
Well, they were just updated about 2 years
Right.
ago.
Yeah, I thought they were just. so-
And they
I think it's more
they
than
do it
two.
like every 5 to 7 years, I think.
Yeah, I think it was pre-pandemic they were updated.
I
Oh,
think
but it
it's-
was pretty recent.
It was pretty recent.
Yeah, it was.
One note I have is the state will do another survey this year on the sea level rise. I don't know if that's tied into any of that kind of stuff.
So that means-
Sea level has risen 16 inches over the last 100 years. And will, of course, keep coming up. Global warming has given us the same amount of rain, but in shorter, tighter windows of,
But that's interesting. It's
Yeah.
the same amount, because it seems like it's more.
right,
But
right.
it's just that it's more concentrated.
And heavier.
And
for sure.
heavier.
Yeah, and that's why we see the flooding inland.
Uh-huh.
Nature is the best defense against Mother Nature, so our marshes and all that are doing their jobs. Whenever we, as you were talking about earlier, whenever you extend, I guess I was thinking about when I saw this, I was thinking down Highway 9 River Road that when they
That
push
area
that
that
dirt
always
out.
floods.
Yeah, when they push that out, they push that dirt out, put the lots in, then that spreads, that water's got to go somewhere else now.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he was arrested for that.
Okay. Before my time. Private insurance in 2017 was 7% of the market, 2024, 33% of the market. Newcastle City been rated 8 out of 10 on the scale, on whatever scale this is. Newcastle County, 5 out of 10 for flood mitigation.
Yeah, with that, those changes, give you a cheaper insurance So that's,
Yeah.
we've talked about that before, but
Double check that your comprehensive coverage on your vehicle will cover flood damage.
ooh,
Do you know of a person's name, Jennifer Walls? The
that name is
Delaware,
familiar.
the DEMA, I guess Delaware Emergency Management is Community Mitigation Fund Manager. Anything other than that?
Fund,
Fund, not
community,
fun, yeah, fun.
FUND.
FUND,
Yeah, so DEMA
DEMA.
has a mitigation fund.
Yeah,
Maybe someone we should reach
I
out
mean,
to.
DEMA is another, well, it's a state, but it
Yeah.
gets money. I mean, it gets funding from FEMA. Anyway,
Jennifer Walls,
Jennifer Walls,
any relation to Tim Walls?
WALLS. And that's all of it.
Okay. Well, that's really interesting. The
It was a
private,
good little meeting.
the private insurance is really intriguing, especially if it's cheaper. Because I don't, I'm so far out of the floodplain, but I still pay $1,200 a year, which seems high to me. But anyway. Okay, any other questions for Mike or comments or anything? Okay, thank you, Mike. If we have other initiatives, how about have we made any progress on the website? I know we said that in the minutes too. No, okay.
I worked on it. I talked to Antonina and she said if I send her, she said to send changes to her. So I learned from Suzanne that there's some connection with the state, and they kind of own all the banners, the stuff
Right.
around, but the city can change the content. So I talked to Antonina and she said, well, just send me the changes. I think she's got everything flowing into her.
Oh, poor woman.
But
Really?
no, it's not been changed. And well, I think you are gonna work on our committee's
On the-
description.
Yeah, and I've looked at it and haven't done a whole lot because we were in between Bill and Antonina, and
Right.
so, yeah, I can look at it again.
All right, so any other initiatives that anybody wants to discuss here beyond what we've already talked about? No? Okay, okay, so Sandra, as I said, has resigned immediately. Gail, your term is up in December. I'm hoping that you will want to renew a new term.
Yes, I
Okay.
will.
Until
The job is not done.
No, I know. Suzanne.
We were going that way and now it seems
I
like.
know,
we're
it's
going
so
this way.
distressing, a year and a half that we wasted time, yeah. So, okay, I'll tell Suzanne, okay, that you were going to, and maybe, does anybody know an engineer or somebody like that who might want to be on our committee?
Right, can I ask a quick, do we have a city engineer?
No, that's the
No.
thing, Mike, we had one,
Right.
he died,
He died.
and, Dave Athy,
Yeah,
great,
okay.
great guy, a wonderful, resource for us.
Yeah.
And then,
okay.
we had, Chris Rogers sometimes help us out, but he's a planner, city planner, not an
Yeah.
engineer. And then, AECom, where David Athy was working, they said, well, we don't have somebody to be your city engineer, but we can make this person who's a city engineer in Pennsylvania, you can call on them when you need to, which is not the same
Yeah.
as having your city engineer, in your
County,
meeting.
does county have an engineer?
Hmm?
Does county have an engineer?
County does have.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure they have one on staff.
Yeah.
probably.
Hmm,
They should be here,
mhm,
we're part of the county.
we are.
I don't know, is that?
I don't know.
know.
I don't
I
know.
don't know,
We
but-
did have the fellow from the county came in, but I'm not sure he was the city engineer, because he was mostly
Yeah.
dealing with, flood mitigation, right? You remember the
Yeah, I
guy who
don't-
came
he's,
in
I
here?
don't, I don't think
I don't
he's
think
an
he's the
engineer.
engineer, no. But I could ask, I suppose.
Yeah, or
I
just,
have-
just,
Maybe somebody who knows some.
yeah, yeah, and he's probably got a Rolodex of people that can help us.
I know, we don't have any money though, that's the problem. We've got a little bit of
Yeah.
money, and believe it or not, we're getting charged for this sitting in here. We didn't even know that until a year after we started. You didn't still know it, right? Yeah, we get charged rent at the beginning of the meeting every month. Anyway, yeah, because I said, well, at one point I said, we haven't used any of the money. I said to Bill Barthel, we haven't used any of the money, so, you know, blah, blah, and he says, oh, yes, you have. Now, remember David Athy said, oh, we're part of the deal, don't worry about it. Well, we were charged for Dave Athy and we were charged for the rent. So we didn't really have that much left. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Okay, city engineer, I'll talk to somebody, in the county. That's a good idea. We'll find out anyway. What they do. Okay,
Is the city looking to hire an engineer?
huh?
Is the city looking to hire an engineer?
I don't believe they are.
Wow.
I think they're saving some money. What I think.
I mean, we've made the request.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And,
I told to Antonina and I told her that they
And
really
city
need a engineer.
council.
Yeah, and it doesn't, you know. I guess when it was looking like we were gonna get this NRCS money,
Right.
it really wasn't
Yeah.
a real, you know, emergency, but it is kind of now, so I'll talk to her about that. One other thing that I wanted to talk to you about, and that is, I've been chair of this committee for 2.5 years now. And, part of the deal when we've changed to the Flood Resiliency Committee is that the chair should change on a regular basis. So as of the end of this year, I would like to resign as chair of this committee. But I'm wondering who would be willing to become chair? Gail?
all lines go.
Are you involved in other things though still or not?
oh, I am involved in a lot of
I know
stuff.
you
Let
are.
me think about it.
Okay.
Let me-
All right.
Would anyone else like to chair?
I'm already chair of the Board of Health.
Yeah, so I didn't think Tim could do it because he's, you know, he's our representative from the city and Fred's our representative from the trustees. Mike seems to have a scheduling deal where he's not always able to get here. Mike Smith, though.
I'm too new. I don't even know. We
That's
haven't
why we're
even-
Anyway, think about it because, you know, I really, it's, you know, the reason I stayed as long as I did was because I had a relationship with Ann Baldwin, but that doesn't seem to be as important as it used to be. But anyway, okay. Okay, so we're good. We have our jobs such as they are and, no public comments, obviously. Somebody's on vacation, I guess. Anyway, so, next week next month, we'll be meeting on the fourth, Tuesday of September.
Yeah,
Unless
let's
you
hear-
hear from me.
Unless we hear otherwise, right?
26th, I believe, is that what I just said?
20.
February 24th.
24th, okay.
There's nothing on the city.
The 24th,
There's
yeah,
nothing on the city account.
okay, good. All right, so we'll
According
say
to
the
the website.
24th. And we'll, I'll be in contact with you, Gail, about a possible meeting.
Okay.
Okay, and I'll talk to Antonina, and Tim is talking to Nicole and Kevin Donnelly. You're gonna talk to Coon's office, right?
Yes, and the governor's office.
Right, I'm notifying the city offices of the change of our meeting. And I'm going to talk to somebody at the county about, city engineer possibly. You know, we can't ask a city engineer from the county to come in, an engineer from the county to come over here for free. Like I said, you know, we need somebody who's gonna be on a sort of the payroll kind of, so we'll see. And I'll
Can
talk
we
to
ask them
Antonina
for
about that
advice?
again. Huh?
You asking for advice on who to reach out to? I mean,
Yeah,
I mean-
but see, the great thing about David Athy, he would be at the meeting. And if
Yeah.
if something came up, we'd say, what? Well, how about that, David? And he knew right away. You know, but if we do this without them here, then we have questions, but we can't do follow-ups because we just had that one question. You know what I mean? And now we don't have the feedback to get this, you know, anyway. They should be here at the meeting rather than just ask them questions. And I do think that to be in position to ask a question. for somebody who's working for somebody. Am I wrong about that?
No, but, and it wouldn't hurt to, talk to Suzanne again too. I mean, she.
I will, I
She
will.
was a proponent
And I'm
of,
gonna ask her if she knows anybody who might be interested in being on the committee that has
Right.
the background, you know, that.
we
that
need
would be
someone
excellent. We do.
with a background.
We do, yeah. Even though we've been doing this for 2 years, we're still, our knowledge base is not what it should be
Well,
without,
we're not-
without the ability to.
We're not
transfer.
engineers
No,
either.
no.
Yeah, and we don't do it all, you know, it's not our thing, we don't, it's not a
Right.
full-time job for us, you know, and
Exactly.
there's a lot that changes from year to year and that kind of stuff, so I mean, it's,
We don't have the background in the history, so we know, for instance, what other people are doing or what we've done in the past, or I would really like to find out how, Delaware City got that wall, that flood wall.
that was a long time ago.
Yeah, but
I think
how did
that-
they get
I
the
think-
money? We
I
couldn't
think that
find
was
out.
back in the late eighties or
Was it?
or nineties, I
I
think.
That long
There
ago?
was- The last, and I've
I
only
think-
known about this place for
Cause I
25
talked to Paul Johnson about it. the
Yeah.
mayor.
Yeah,
And when I met with him, I'm pretty sure, cause I was surprised that it was that long ago. Like it was a significant amount of time ago. I was shocked on how
Okay.
long ago, cause I never,
Wasn't
like,
paying
I never
attention.
realized it.
cause it seemed to me like, the first time I went there, I didn't see it, and then all of a sudden it was there, but I could have just been, you know, sometimes you overlook things that you're not that interested in, I guess. Anyway, okay, anybody want to make a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, guys. See you next month.
I was just looking at their. It was like 2 years.
Yes, right.
And then